She's so fine. Hell blows my mind. Hell lights my day.
What's good, guys? Today's Friday, November the 20th, 2020. Doing an update on the Quawan Bobby Charles case out of Louisiana. This article is from the New York Post. It says video shows moment Quawan Charles disappeared from Louisiana home. It's wrote by Jorge Fitzgibbon on November the 18th, 2020 at 12:45 p.m. I'll show the video in a moment. A newly released video shows the 15-year-old teenager disappeared from his Louisiana home 4 days before he was found dead at a nearby sugarcane field, according to a report. Footage released by the Baldwin Police Department shows Quawan Charles sitting outside his home on October the 30th, then chasing a silver car that passes the house, CBS News said in a report Wednesday. The car is seen returning to the home and pulling into the driveway where Quawan and two other people go into his yard before getting back in the vehicle and speeding off, the video shows. Quawan was found dead on November the 3rd in a creek by Iberia Parish deputies in what the medical examiner classified as a drowning. But Quawan's family has commissioned an independent autopsy saying the teen's badly mutilated face suggests he might have been tortured, and faulted cops for not issuing an Amber Alert when they reported him missing. Quote, the family's not questioning the veracity of the video, Chase Tritchell, a lawyer for the teenager's family, told CBS. However, our interest is now solely focused on what occurs as soon as that video stops, end quote. Police defended their response to the missing persons call and said the newly released video shows that Quawan got into the car willingly, suggesting an Amber Alert was not warranted because there was no evidence he was kidnapped. There's a photo of Quawan Bobby Charles. Quote, we did not drop the ball, Baldwin Police Chief Samuel Wise told KLFY-TV on Tuesday. They did everything by protocol. They did everything by the book, end quote. Wise said that, despite not issuing an Amber Alert, cops did search for the teen after the family's call and filed a missing person report at 10:30 p.m., which added the case to a national database for missing people. Quote, my officer stayed in touch with the family the whole weekend, the chief told KLFY. The father told me himself that my officer stayed in touch with him the entire weekend, trying to locate this kid because we do care, end quote. Let's go to the video. Here we go. Now, this is an article from the Daily Mail. It says, exclusive, woman who was last person to see tragic teen Quawan Charles alive has history of arrests for drugs and burglary and lost custody of her kids after she was accused of neglect and domestic violence by their father. That's a picture of Janet Irvin. I showed the one on the right previously on my channel, and the one on the left is new to me and also new to the channel. Another picture of Quawan Bobby Charles. The article reads, the white woman who authorities believe was the last person who saw black teenager Quawan Charles alive before his corpse was found in a Louisiana sugarcane field 4 days later has an extensive arrest record that includes drug-related charges as well as burglary and receiving stolen property. DailyMail.com has learned exclusively. What's more, the woman, Janet Irvin, 37, temporarily lost the custody of 2 of her 3 children a decade ago, after she was accused of domestic violence and neglect by her children's father, according to court records in Lafayette, Louisiana. The man, Joshua Romero, now remember that name because it's important later. Joshua Romero accused Irvin in a handwritten statement to a local family court of suffering from drug and alcohol problems, stealing prescription medication and money, dropping their then 2-year-old son on the floor and allowing the child to drink her beer. The revelations come as the family of 15-year-old Quawan Charles has been unable to talk to Irvin about what could have happened on October the 30th when he walked away from Irvin's trailer in the tiny town of Laurelville and into sugar fields. Quote, "As far as we're concerned, Quawan was under Irvin's care," said Selena Charles, a spokeswoman for Quawan's family. "We'd just like to know what happened," end quote. DailyMail.com visited Chastant Trailer Park, where Quawan was last seen alive, and witnessed the crushing poverty of Louisiana's agricultural countryside, with many of the trailers damaged, unstable, unmaintained, or just too old to be comfortable. Again, that picture is of Janet Irvin, and this is her son, Gavin Irvin, the 17-year-old. That is where Quawan Bobby Charles was found. This is an aerial view of Janet and Gavin Irvin's trailer on the left and where Quawan's body was found on the right. And this is on the map. It shows where Quawan disappeared from at his father's home on October the 30th, and then where he was found on November the 3rd. One of the park's residents, who asked not to be identified by name, told us where deputies with the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office found the teen's lifeless body after, quote, pinging, end quote, his cell phone in the evening of November the 3rd. "We walked to a vacant field in the back of an abandoned school, through a thin hedge made of brush and trees, and traveled about 1,000 feet south alongside rows of 10-foot-tall sugar canes, before arriving at a drainage ditch littered with a discarded purple cooler and other debris." Quote, "Nobody ever comes here," said the resident. "There's no reason he should have been walking around here, especially at night. You can't see anything," end quote. According to family spokeswoman Charles, the teenager was picked up by Irvin and her 17-year-old son Gavin at home in a nearby town of Baldwin on the afternoon of October the 30th. Quawan, she said, lived in a newly built, comfortable suburban development in Youngsville, Louisiana, with his mother, Roxanne Nelson, and her husband. A week before he died, however, Quawan was sent to live at his dad's house in Baldwin, 35 miles away. At his new school, Quawan had been in contact with Gavin Irvin, 17, who had been in school with Quawan back in Youngsville, and, like him, moved. For an unknown reason, Selena Charles said, Gavin and his mother Janet picked up Quawan at his father's home and drove to their rented trailer in Laurelville. Gavin claimed Quawan left their trailer park home on his own and didn't say where he was going. Janet has not spoken to the family. They have now been evicted from their trailer park home, the Washington Post reports. Sheriff Tommy Romero. I told you that name would come back up. The father's name was Joshua Romero. I just thought it was interesting that they share the same last name. Sheriff Tommy Romero said investigators have spoken with at least one witness who reportedly saw Charles before his death in the area where he was later found. Quote, "We have obtained and reviewed video evidence showing Quawan Bobby Charles near that area," he said. Video evidence indicates no other individuals present with Quawan Bobby Charles or anyone else present for some time before or after he is seen on the recording, end quote. A few hours later, according to the autopsy, Quawan was dead in the drainage ditch, which at the time had ankle-deep water, according to locals. The St. Mary's the St. Mary Coroner's Office determined early on that Quawan may have drowned. His lungs were filled with mud and water. Another picture of Quawan. Under this picture, it says Quawan's family say he is the victim of a hate crime that police are refusing to investigate. Janet Irvin. This is the trailer park home in the Chestnut Trailer Park where Quawan was last seen alive. This is where Quawan was found. This is the family compared photos of Quawan's face to that of Emmett Till, beaten and lynched by two white men in 1955 in Mississippi after he was falsely accused of whistling at a white woman. The article goes on to say, but when Quawan's relatives called in to identify the body and saw his face, they suspected there was more to his disappearance and death when they noticed parts of his lips and left cheek were missing while there were lacerations to his forehead. The medical examiner blamed the damage on aquatic animals, end quote. Blamed the damage on, quote, aquatic animals, end quote, while the family compared photos of Quawan's face to that of Emmett Till, beaten and lynched by two white men in 1955 in Mississippi after he was falsely accused of whistling at a white woman. Quawan's family is waiting for the results of an independent autopsy. The teen is said to be laid to rest on Saturday. Early on, the sheriff's office investigation centered on the Irvins' trailer. It was searched, but yielded no clue of what could have caused Quawan's death. A few days later, however, the Irvins and a man living with them were evicted from the trailer park by Buddy Chaston, a local mechanic whose family owns the trailer park. Quote, yeah, I evicted them, Chaston said as he fixed a client's flat tire at his shop by LaRoville's only traffic light. They had until November 12th to leave. They didn't flee. They were told to leave. I have no idea where they went. They weren't welcome here, but it had nothing to do with the death of the young man, end quote. While Chaston declined to discuss the reasons for the eviction at first, he eventually admitted he'd received reports of drug activity at the trailer and, quote, wanted no part of it, end quote. Like in rural towns everywhere where boredom and desperation form a combustive combination, opioids and crime have become the scourge of small-town Louisiana. According to court records, mother of three Janet Irvin has been arrested 5 times since 2002. She has a date with a local criminal court judge in December to face charges of possession of a synthetic cannabinoid, and possession of drug paraphernalia dating to June of 2019. In February of 2019, she was charged with felony possession of hydrocodone after a traffic stop by a Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office, according to court records. This is Gavin Irvin's dad, Alvin Irvin. He doesn't know where his daughter is. I'm sorry, not Gavin's dad. Janet's dad. Says he doesn't know where his daughter is and hasn't spoken to her in 3 months. He hinted that no one else in their family has contacts with Janet. Quote, I have no idea what happened to that kid, Quawan, but whatever's happening, she brought that on herself, end quote, Alvin said. This is the family spokeswoman, Selena Charles. This says a few days later, however, the Irvins and a man living with them were evicted from the trailer park by Buddy Chaston. This is just a view of that trailer and that trailer park. Goes on to say the case was dismissed when prosecutors admitted the reason for the search of her vehicle by deputies, sparked by allegations that the deputies smelled marijuana inside the vehicle, quote, was not supported by facts, end quote. In July of 2011, Irvin was charged with simple burglary and criminal trespass. She took a plea deal and ended up on 1 year's probation. She failed, however, to appear in a follow-up hearing and was rearrested in 2013 for violation of probation, according to public records. She served 2 days at the local jail. In 2006, Irvin was charged with possession of stolen goods and theft by fraud. She took another deal from prosecutors and received 6 months probation. In 2002, Janet Irvin was charged with possession of alcohol by a minor. She was 19, and the case was dismissed after she paid a $116.50 fine. In family court, too, allegations have been made against the last person believed to have been with Quawan. In 2010, the father of her 2 youngest children told a court in sworn statement asking for a restraining order and the custody of 5-year-old Kylie and 2-year-old Joshua, that Irvin was abusive and violent. Quote, "I want her and her drug and alcohol problems away from me and my kids," end quote. Electrician Joshua Romero wrote at the time in a statement. Quote, "She's dropping my son on the floor, allowing my kids to play in the street, allowing my 2-year-old to drink out of her beer, stealing my prescription medication, my money, taking my truck in the middle of the night while we are asleep," end quote. In time, the judge did approve a restraining order that mandated Irvin to stay at least 100 feet from Romero's home and the electric company he worked for. The order was rescinded in 2017 when Irvin was able to prove she had straightened out. It says Irvin's dad told Daily Mail he doesn't know where his daughter is and haven't spoken to her in 3 months, and hinted that no one in the family had contact with her. And that is the end of this article. So I'm just going to end the article here and let you guys think about that, as I'm going to do. And I will be back later, I'm sure, with something else regarding this case. You guys have a great day.